My question is to Mr Howard about tax, and it's really about how much your government is learning about taxation and interest rates. Since 2002, we've had 9 successive interest rate increases, 9 of them, and virtually every year your government has cut tax. Now you're proposing a further tax cut of $34 billion into the economy, a very strong economy with demand running very strongly. The effect of this must be to increase upward pressure on interest rates. So my question is, to what extent do you take responsibility for your policies in the past contributing to interest rate increases, and to what extent do you concede that this tax package that you've brought down must run the risk of further interest rate increases over the course of the next term?
Well, Paul, the principal driver of higher interest rates is higher inflation. And in and of themselves, reductions in taxation are not inflationary, provided they are affordable and they still leave a very strong budget surplus. Fortunately, we are in the position that because the economy has grown strongly, we can provide Australian families with taxation relief. And these taxation cuts are, in my view, not inflationary. And the reason they're not inflationary is they are given in an environment where, because of our industrial relations changes, these strong wage increases in the very profitable sectors of the economy, or the ultra-profitable sectors such as the mining industry, do not flow through automatically to other sectors of the economy. Now, if they were given in the kind of industrial relations environment that Mr Rudd is arguing for, a more centralised industrial relations system, then they might well have the consequence to which you have alluded to in your question. You see, the benefits of having a freer industrial relations system mean that you can have very high wages paid in the mining industry, and those wages don't automatically flow through into other sectors of the economy, thereby pushing up wages in those unaffordable sectors, and which in turn leads to higher inflation that puts upward pressure on interest rates. So you have to look very much at the economic environment in which taxation cuts are delivered. Now, I think it's only fair that people should get back some return from the much stronger and bigger budget surpluses.
But just on that point, Mr Howard, I mean, the bias of the bank is towards a further tightening. The bias of the bank is towards further increases in interest rates. Now, given the demand which these tax cuts will further put into the economy, are you prepared on economic grounds to reconsider if need be?
What, the tax cuts?
Yes.
No, I think the tax cuts are eminently responsible, and to the extent that they meet some of the cost of living pressures of Australians, they will dampen wage demands that might otherwise be much stronger because of those cost of living pressures. So you can't look at tax cuts in isolation from other things that occur in the economy. And to say to the average Australian family, we have an enormous budget surplus and we're going to, in their eyes, hoard it and not hand any of it back to them, despite the fact that even in this very strong economy there are cost of living pressures, is to be unrealistic and is to misunderstand the incentives and the attitude of average Australians.
Mr Howard, we need to move it on. Mr Rudd, your response.
Well, I noticed there are 2 arguments put forward by Mr Howard before. One was concerning interest rates and them always being higher under Labor. 22% interest rates when Mr Howard was Treasurer of this country, the highest interest rates that we'd seen since the war. Let's just put all that into context. The second is his claim that Labor produces routinely budget deficits. Mr Howard, when you were Treasurer of Australia, you produced 5 budgets, 4 of them were deficits. Let's have some honesty on the table here. Let's get the record straight. We have all learnt from the mistakes of the past. Labor's made mistakes in the past, and I dare say you made some mistakes in the past when you were Treasurer. In fact, your current Treasurer, in the interview that he gave and the biography on you recently, said that you had a bad record on interest rates and a bad record when it came to maintaining public sector surpluses. On the key question here, the job is to ensure that you do, through fiscal policy and other instruments of policy, like skills formation and like infrastructure development to aid the work of the bank. The bank and others have pleaded for a long, long time for governments to rise to the challenge of doing something on the skills shortage, and those calls from the bank have gone unheeded and unresponded to by the government. We have a plan to deal with these things. It's a positive plan aimed at enhancing productivity growth through an education revolution, providing high-speed broadband to the country right across urban and rural areas to make sure that we've got an economy equipped for the 21st century.